And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our final qualifying match here on the CranKy Ducklings. I mean, to be fair, there are two qualifying matches that are currently starting at the same time, two fresh series, and we have one of them. We have Ukko versus Jason, which is about to begin as the videos are done and we're getting into the lobbies. Oh, it's been stressful. It's been a stressful qualifier so far here for the CranKy Ducklings, but two of our boys made it through. Eric just barely made it through in that best of 5 all the way to game 5 against Reaper, and likewise Dolan also made it over Vindicta in a best of 5 as well. So some very close games, some very close series in the end, and now we have this best of 5 remaining. This is a qualifying match between Ukko and Jason. Ukko was facing off against Disc earlier and he fell. He fell to Disc. Disc took him down 3-0, and I would say that Disc is one of the best Protoss in North America. He's definitely up there. I would say maybe just under Estrella and Trigger. I think I would place Disc as number 3, I would say. I think Disc and Nina are relatively comparable as well when it comes to their skill level. So yeah, Disc was a titan to behold and was a rough series for Ukko, but now he has another chance up against Jason instead. Likewise, Jason, we were able to cast him during the qualifiers, during the open qualifiers. He was able to make a deep run, was able to make it through a long and grueling process. And yeah, now it comes down to this final best of 5 ZvT. And I'm happy to at least cast one ZvT here today in these qualifiers. We haven't had the luxury of having one. We've been casting a lot of Zerg and Protoss and more ZvZs, and where we get a Terran, Pop. We do get a Terran. We are going to be getting into this momentarily, but it does look like we have a bit of an issue here loading in. We may have to restart. We may have lost one of our casters or one of our players. It does seem like someone has lagged out. So we'll be starting soon. We'll be starting momentarily. Oh! Jason did lag out. It's fine. It's fine. We'll just have to remake the lobby and we'll get back into it. All good. All good. Oh. As yeah, we're kind of nearing the end of the broadcast. I think the other series is Maples versus Foxer, I believe, in a TVP. So that is also on the horizon. That's also another series that I believe is being covered by Dave, Testa, and by Roddy as well. By Rotterdam. Eric, he was just messaging me. I didn't know how to wall on those maps so hard. Smurge, Poppy, Smurge. Yeah. Feels bad, man. But yeah, Eric, it's all good. It's all good. This is why we need to practice on the new apps. We need to practice, Pop. We need to practice. Regardless, did make it through, and we are getting back into our next game. Hopefully, everything's okay. Hopefully, we're able to load in without any issues. Fingers crossed. After we load in, I'll open up the predictions. Let's go. So smooth. Predictions are now open in the chat. Huh. Oh my god. And as predictions get open, a massive shout out to Cosmos. Oh my god, papi. Big shout out to Cosmos. Fala galera, papi. Fala galera. Obrigado. Este Cosmos. El hermoso, papi. El hermoso. Your voice. I'm a big fan of your band. Your band, papi. It's so good. Thank you so much. Big shout out to the raid from Cosmos. For those who do not know Cosmos, he is a Brazilian caster. He is a Brazilian streamer as well. He, of course, speaks English, so don't be afraid to talk to him and to message him. But thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great cast. Hope you had a great stream. And, mate, that Eric series was stressful. Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Papi, that Eric series, it was stressful, Papi. It was oh my god. It was wild. But here we go. In the top left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Terran player. Ooh, it is Jason. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Zerg player representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ukko. Stressful, Papi. It went all the way to the ace match, Papi, all the way. But now there's going to be a hatch gas pool. Hatch gas pool standard opener here from Ukko. Likewise, Jason, we casted quite a lot of him over the course of the open qualifier, and I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. I was concerned he was going to play mech heavy. That is what he was known for in the past, but he played a lot of bio, and he had some damn good control as well. Some good multi-prong aggression, some good drop play against Protoss. So I'm ready to see it once again. I'm ready to bear witness to what Jason brings to the table against a player of the caliber of Ukko. Ukko at this stage of the StarCraft lifespan, I would say that Ukko is probably the best Zerg player in America. I think I stand by that. Ukko being the best Zerg player in the United States. I'm specifying America, not North America, because if we involve North America, then of course Scarlet comes into play. But for the end of the Americas, Ukko is the best, and it would not be an ESL Masters Americas without Ukko as a part of that event, so we'll see if he can make it through. Likewise, Jason making the run of his life. He hasn't been this far before. He hasn't made it to a qualifying match in the past, despite his career, despite his efforts. This is his first time, so a big run here from Jason. We'll see if he can go further. For now, behind this 3CC, oh my it is going to be a third CC opener, so very economic out of Jason. Third CC before starport, so very macro oriented from our Terran player, as the Reaper does dip into the main base. The Queen is in position, but the Reaper gets a full scout, confirming no additional gas mining, no Roach War, no Roach Rush on Golden Ore. Very important to scout, because all-ins are quite prevalent and quite common on a rush distance as short as Golden Ore. Here we go. As Lings do make it into the natural, and well, so far, looks like we're going to be able to disrupt the mining here. A couple of SCVs will go down. Hellions a couple of seconds away from popping out, and they will clean up these Lings, and it looks like the SCVs will survive. Good control here from Jason. But one SCV finally does fall here outside the natural. Good crisis management though. Could have been worse. Could have been so much worse for Jason. As he's going into that starport, we have the tech lab on the way. This is looking like an add-on swap into Banshees. And there it is. The add-on swap is upon us. Again, very safe opener here out of Jason. This is ideal against roaches as well. And roaches have been quite prevalent here in the meta in general. But so far, Ukko is opening up standard. And we haven't quite teched up yet towards anything like roaches. Just going to be droning, saturating our third base, all that good stuff. Oh god, I was afraid to die. That first map against mechanic was wild. It was crazy. So we got the Hellions are going to be poking and prodding here in between the bases, but the Queens are in position. So far, solid defense here from Ukko. This is one of the other big advantages of Golden Aura, because these areas are so narrow, because it's such a narrow ramp into the third base and such a narrow choke point here on the right hand side. You can split up your Queens and you can skip your Lings. We did make 10 Lings, of course, for safety, but of course you can try to cut them here to defend with just pure Queen and deny any kind of Hellion run-bys. Meanwhile, really interesting decision here. Ukko, he takes the fourth base as a linear fourth. He doesn't go for the triangular one. Now, because we're on the low ground, this is a little bit more exposed. What I will say is that this ramp and this high ground is actually quite far off and doesn't quite threaten this base. So yeah, not too bad of a position here. You do have the potential to surround this location as well, especially if you do go towards the north. So Ukko going to be expanding towards his opponent. Meanwhile, Jason, bio, not mech. Thankfully, Bobby, thankfully. We got Raxes being thrown down here. Stim on the way. Double E-base for double upgrades. Third base is being taken. We are ramping up into the mid game. Let us go. Rocks being knocked down ahead of time as well. That's the other scary thing about taking this as a third base, is that you need to knock down these rocks, otherwise tank pushes are insane. Banshees have arrived, and these Queens are going to be able to transfuse. They're going to be able to keep each other alive a little bit longer. The Overseer is about to morph in. One Queen goes down, and the Banshees do dip on out of there. Really clutch moves there out of Jason, killing a Queen just before the Overseer finished. And the Banshees do dip in towards the main base. Spore Crawler is done. The Queens are getting in position. 1-1 on the way. It is going to be Ling Bane out of Ukko. No roaches, not this time. Well, as he does dive on those Banshees again. Really good stutter stepping out of Jason. He does avoid the Queens for the most part. Does take a couple of hits, but plenty of HP. He does dip on out of there. Now, Jason, he hasn't seen the 4th base yet, but upon seeing how empty this location was, he can deduce that a 4th base has been taken towards the left-hand side instead. Again, really good droning here, really greedy play out of Ukko. He's just now morphing in Baneling's sub 7 minutes, as he's up to 78 workers. The macro, the droning from Ukko has been crazy, and he's gotten away with it. Now that we've hit 7 minutes, Jason is getting ready for his own move out. He's going for a double drop. The rest of his army is going to be staying back at home. He's still building up his tank count. He still only has 1 tank, so yeah, Jason just focusing on more of his production instead. He's going to be hitting here with this double drop, but Ukko, it feels like he's just gotten away with so much. Again, Ukko, we're pretty comparable when it comes to these supplies overall, but because Ukko has gotten up to 80 workers, now he can focus on nothing but army, on nothing but Lingbane. He will lose a queen. Will lose 1 queen, but he can respread his creep. He maintains control of the center of the map. Hydras are now on the way, so Lingbane, Hydra here from Ukko, taking his 5th base as well. And it feels like Ukko is in full control of at least his side of the map. Behind this, how many Raxes? Okay, it's only 5 Raxes here from Jason. He takes his gases. He's going to be working on a 4th base momentarily, and he is now working on his push. As he moves out, there's that 4th. So it's not an 8 Rax, it's not a 3-base all-in. He is macroing behind this, but this move out is looking to be quite impressive. Okay, 3 tanks here for Jason. Pushing onto creep, clearing up a lot of it, by the way. And Ukko, he has to give ground. Ooh, drones will be falling as well. 3 workers go down, and this base is completely forfeit. Thankfully, Ukko has a 5th that he can rotate over to. And no rush, he will not try to vie for control of this. He's respecting the army of of Jason. As Ukko is still amassing Lingbane. Oh, drop into the main base is going to be thwarted for now. But the main push is not stopping. Jason trying to gain ground. Ukko, he needs a little bit more time for more Banelings. Needs more time. Now again, thankfully, Ukko, his economy wasn't really impacted too much. He's got a macro hatch in the main base, so he has plenty of lava to work with as well. He's going to expand here towards the right-hand side. There is a drop that can threaten this, but the drop does turn back around. Reinforcements, though, are on the way. 2 more tanks before they arrive. Up the mines! Ooh, decent mine connection, but we do collapse on 2 of those tanks. The tanks do go down, but do we have enough Lingbane left over? I don't think we do. The Hydras will fall. Jason, he sims on forward, and Ukko is in quite a bit of trouble. He has to bring his army forward. And it looks like there aren't enough Marines. No medevacs either. A bold move here from Ukko. He dives on this position. He will not get the tank. Oh, and this is just too much. Jason is snowballing out of control. He takes down the 5th base. He gains control of the 4th. That's a kill, not a cancel. And Ukko is up against the wall again. Like, he had some good macro earlier. He was able to drone up quite well, but this position was a little bit too much for him to handle. Again, Jason just took control of the low ground and pushed on forward, and now he's just rallying across the map. The power of Golden Aura, as it doesn't take long at all to reinforce. Ukko trying to keep up here with the drop play, but even this, Hydras are going to be going down. Expensive trades here for Ukko. Decent fungal here on the Marines, but Jason will stim on 40, takes down a queen, gets into the mineral line. Good fungal. Cleans up some Marines as well, but alas, there's just too much Terran. Ukko trying to squeeze out a gold base. I appreciate it. I do. But again, Jason is snowballing out of control, and Ukko, he's down to 3 mining bases. Down to the bare bones. And trying to hold on with his army, trying to hold on for dear life. Up! But we even focused on one of those infestors. Well, the Mass Hydra army is going to be able to force Jason back. Nice drags on those mines as well. And Ukko, he does hold on to his 3rd at least. He's slowly working on a 4th base. But Jason is maxed. Oh my god, he is just not slowing down. And Here we go, a secondary army rotating over towards that fourth base. That's all that Jason has to do. All that Jason has to do is just deny the fourth over and over again. Here towards the south, he can edge his way closer towards that natural. As he take control of this space, that's another kill, not a cancel. Infestor's coming for some fungals, but it's not going to be enough. GG gets called, and Jason will take game number 1. GG. A solid game 1 there from Jason, but what I will say is that I do think that a lot of that did come down to the map itself. Again, the fourth bases are a lot more vulnerable here on this map, and because of the short rushes, since once Jason gets going, it's hard to stop him from snowballing out of control. GG, well played. A solid game there from Jason. Meanwhile, Ukko is going to have to fight back here in this series. And I wonder, what map will game 2 be? Players just kind of sorting that out as game 2 is on site Delta. Here we go. He's not the best against Cham, don't you think? Oh, El Chamaco. Oh, God. I haven't... Yo, Cham has been very inactive recently. He's been inactive, Fabi, but I look forward to seeing more of him. I look forward to seeing him in DreamHack as well. It's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great season of ESL Masters. I'll do my best to cast it. Do my best to cast all of it, Fabi. Here we go. We're getting into our next game, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of site Delta, we have the American Zerg player representing Apprentice Esports down in this series, but looking to fight back. It is Ukko. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Terran player, the Red Terran, taking game number 1, taking a lead in this series. It is Jason. And what we saw last game is what we saw during the qualifiers, where, mate, once Jason gets his 3-base saturation going, it's hard to stop him. It's hard to stop him from just snowballing out of control, constantly being in your face, going for some multi-prong aggression, going for drop play. A very active player. Ooh, and we saw that brought to the table in game 1. What I will say, as we load into side Delta, Ukko will have more breathing room on this map, and he will be a little bit more comfortable as a result. Ooh, and we'll see if he can keep up. We'll see if he can keep up with Jason here as we do load on in. Once again, hatch gas pool, standard opener out of Ukko. Nothing too crazy. Likewise, I don't expect Jason to whip out mech. From what we've seen from him so far, I understand that there's the need, the want to try out the new Cyclone, but I don't think Jason is going to go in that direction. I hope not. We'll see. We shall see. So now the SCV comes in for a scout, does confirm the opener as well, the gases, the spawning pool timing. Jason making sure that everything is as it should be back at home. Racks expand on location on the low ground. Everything looking normal. And from here, things will be calming down. Things will be settling down. Side Delta, of course, one of those maps that, unlike some of the others, doesn't have as really overt features. You know, like Golden Aura with the short rush distance, with the exposed bases. I does feel like Side Delta is something that is becoming a little bit more common when it comes to maps that are being played out on, even on best of 3s. Feels like maps like Side Delta and Hecate as well are becoming quite prevalent amongst players. Of course, it has its own ups and downsides, of course. Third and fourth bases are quite spread out, so you can actually do a great job at just picking them apart and applying pressure here and pulling apart your opposing opponent. I wonder if Ukko can then use that to his advantage if he's able to gain map control. That is the big if. Third base being taken. A bit of a delayed third here from Ukko. Interesting choice. He did actually prioritize his queens before working towards his third base. So we're going to be stuck on 2 bases a little bit longer than normal. Oh! Ooh, as one of the tumors does get sniped. Good pick off there from Jason. As he dips into the main base. Behind this, a very different opener. A much more aggressive opener out of Jason. He's going for a straight up 1-1-1. His third base from our Terran player is delayed in favor of a faster starport. And we see why. Oh no, he even goes to the add-on swap here, but he's going for BCs. Uh-oh. Do we stop at 1? Or do we go for more? I'm curious. As it is going to be a battle cruiser opener. We have a Viking first here from Jason as well. The add-on swap makes it look like Banshees. So really interesting touch here from Jason. As we usually don't add-on swap when we're going for BCs. But he is mixing it up. And it's going to be on Ukko to figure this out. He does have an Overlord out on the map to scout, but he hasn't gone in yet. The Viking is going to make it that much more difficult to scout as well. Hellions trying to bypass the army. They go straight. Oh, they do not dive into the natural. They think about it. They flirt with the idea, but we don't commit. Hellions back off. Fusion core is done. First battle cruiser is on the way. And this typically leads into mech. Typically. There's that third CC. Do we throw down additional factories? It's likely. Tis likely here from Jason. I was just praising him earlier. I was like, nah, he's not going to play mech. You know, from what we've seen in the qualifiers, like, nah, he's going to be bio, right? Right? He's going back to his old ways, Papi. Oh, no. Not like this. Not like this. Now, when it comes to the queen count, we have 8 queens. We soon to have 10. So 10 queens soon to be coming out. Bailey Nest thrown down. Lair. No spore crawlers for the time being, which is concerning. Overlord comes in and does confirm the 1-1-1. He sees the retracing tech lab, so it looks like Jason is trying to fake out Banshees as he does cancel that cloak. Armory behind this, so it is going to be a Hellbat push alongside this BC, and there is the mech. There are the factories. So again, Jason, back in the day, he was known for his mech, and in recent times, I haven't seen him play mech, so I was like, oh, maybe he's reformed. Maybe he has changed his... No changed ways. We are doubling down on the mech play, and again, this is still unscattered from Ukko. He still doesn't really know what's going on. He's getting spore crawlers at least, and he's pulling together, or he's spreading out his queens in between his bases. Yamato is in production. We only got 1 BC, but this is for a frontal push, not for harassment. And here we go, the BC does reveal itself. The Hellions as well, and here comes the Hellbat push. Bailings are on the way, but they're going to go down. These Bailings, I don't know if they're going to be able to finish in time. Yeah, they're not going to finish. Without Bailings, it's going to be a tough hold here for Ukko. Looks like a couple will, though. Good spread from Jason, avoiding those Bailing connections. The Queen's taking a lot of hits, and a high-energy Queen will barely survive. Oh my god, the Queen's coming in from the main base. And Ukko will hold. But how much will he lose? 1 queen goes down. Up. 1 queen goes down. A 2nd queen as well. And 1 drone, I believe. Up. Oh, barely a 3rd queen. But again, Ukko will minimize economic damage. That's what matters most. Looking at the unit loss type here, he didn't lose a single drone. He lost 4 queens and those Bailings. Outside of that, Ukko, he's up to... He's so greedy. What the... This happened last game as well. Ukko, he's on 80 workers. He defends the BC Hellbat push on 80 workers. Now he's joining up to almost 90. He's crazy. Oh my god. Very impressive hold here from Ukko. He is up to 87, soon to be 86 workers. He's taking all of his gases, getting another base. Obviously, he's now fully aware of the mech that's coming out, and his response is going to be Ling Hydra, which has been a very interesting reaction here to mech. We have seen quite a lot of it, but something that we do need as well to support them is spellcasters, is an infestation pit. We're not quite there yet, though. Not yet. as the BCs are moving out. Gonna be cleaning up a lot of this creep. The queens are being pulled together once again to dive on these battle cruisers. We'll go for the Yamato. And we should teleport away. Good Yamatos there on those queens. The BCs, they will escape, looking for another queen if possible. But again, because of the droning, because of the greed here from Ukko, now we can just focus. Oh, he's making 17 more. This is Ukko. He's making 17 more drones. We're good, but we're good. We don't need this many. He's up to 96. Now, to be fair, I know we need static defense. I know, especially against mech, especially against Hellion run-bys, you do need spine crawlers at your fringe bases. Because of the BCs, you need spore crawlers in every base as well. Like, I understand. This is a bit much though. Because we're up to 95 workers, it does impact the overall army supply. When we max out, we won't have as large of an army as we would like. But to be fair, I'm sure over the course of this game, Ukko, he will slowly ease away from these drones and morph in more static defense, and he'll be okay. Behind this, Jason, he is just turtling up here. Oh my god, he's got sensor towers, he has tank lines, depot walls, and now soon to be a 4th base. Now Jason, he still needs time to really build himself up. He still needs time. Ukko doesn't. Ukko is already about to max out. And a pretty interesting composition. He's got Corruptors on the way, 2-2. Ling Hydra should knock down this 4th base. There's no shot we can hold on to it. Yeah, Cyclone Hellion coming in, but the 4th is going to be lifted. Banelings are going to be rolling in as well. A bit of an overextension. Cannot push in, as Ukko does have to back off. And again, there were a lot of Banelings that were thrown away here. We do delay the 4th base, but for a bit of a trade, at a cost. Fester's on the way behind this. Again, 2-2, +1 air attack. Ukko building himself back up, refining his army. No, sorry, we do have a hive. Do we have Adrenal? We do not have Adrenal yet. That should be up next here for Ukko. And there it is. Adrenal does begin for our Zerg player. Crashing on forward once again, denying the 4th base. And this time we get on top of even more tanks. 2 tanks do go down. Can we get another? I'm not too sure if we can. Oh my god, as Ukko dives in. 2-3 more tanks go down, but Ukko loses his entire army in the process. Really bold move here from Ukko, but I think he knows that there's no threat of a counterattack. Jason, he lost his Cyclones, he lost most of his Hellions, lost some tanks. Jason can't push out. He's at 130 supply. So even though I would say that Ukko overextended, and even though that was a little bit inefficient, Ukko, his economy is strong and he can remax. Jason can't touch it. Not yet. Ultras are on the way. I would love to see maybe even a Greater Spire, just in case. As we are very tank heavy. No Thors, no Cyclones. With a tank heavy composition, Ultras, they can be dealt with. Especially with all these tanks. How many tanks do we have? It's 14. My god. Now, unfortunately, I would say that Jason, he's hyper fixated on defending this 4th base, which means that these other bases are much more exposed. We could try to go for a different angle of attack for Ukko, but we'll see. We'll see how he does approach this. Vipers have been made. They're gathering energy in the main base, and they will be able to Blinding Cloud. So even though this area is looking very congested and nigh on impossible to push in, maybe 3 or even 4 Blinding Clouds can break this. Can push on in. Now, we don't want to go in prematurely. The Ultras have been scouted. Kind of splaiting is still a couple of seconds away from going in, from finishing up. There it is. 2nd starport. Thor production commencing. Jason is now getting a death ball of a mech army, and now he's got a 4th. Now he's working on a 5th. Here we go. We're going to be rushing on in. We do need a trade. Ukko has a massive bank, and the tank line, we do get some good lightning clouds, but the ultras are falling, and we cannot push in. Oh, it does feel like Ukko, he did throw away a little bit too much here, and he didn't get much value out of it. He lost every single ultra, lost a lot of hydras. That was not a good trade. You can see here, a very efficient. He lost two tanks. Two tanks went down in that for 4 ultras, 8 hydras, 2 infestors. Ukko has to be very careful here with how he engages. He cannot throw away his army. Not like that. Here we go. He's going to be rolling on in once again. This will be a more efficient trade. He gets on top of the tanks. The Ling Bane gets on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks go down. Oh my god. Ukko just mowing through that army. And this time it was Ling Bane, not ultras and not hydras. So a much more efficient trade here this time from Ukko. But Jason is pushing on forward, trying to establish this 5th base. Meanwhile, Ukko is remaxing. I mentioned earlier that, again, because Ukko has so many workers, it means that his main army is a little bit smaller than normal. But if you're working with a small army like this, it just means that you have to keep trading. You have to keep fighting over and over and over again. Make it worth it. There we go. We do have to wait for the Vipers. Tank shots are going to be going off. Decent bathing connections on those Hellbats. But it feels like the Vipers are a little bit too late. Ukko is forced back. 50 more Lings in production. And so far, Jason hasn't been able to mine from this base. But he's getting there. The tanks, they are spreading out, though. And Ukko, he can get a better angle of attack. He's diving on in. There we go. 2 tanks go down. He can... doesn't quite get a 3rd. But only trades Lings. But yeah, this area is going to be a little bit easier to engage on for now, but we're really solidifying ourselves. Turrets on the way. Here come some abductions. Oh. Gets the BC, a Thor, and a tank for 1 Viper. So speaking of, we get a couple more tanks. Oh, we don't quite... Oh, God! We don't quite get the BC. But there's that Greater Spire. So Ukko, he's aware of the situation. He's trying to tech up even further. He's taking more bases. Honestly, the base count of Ukko is looking insane. He's up to 100 drones! 103 drones! Oh my god. I mean, his economy's good. You know, we'll give him that. Looks like he does want to try to find a better angle of attack. He has recognized that he cannot break this. Like, look at how entrenched we are here with all these turrets, tanks, Thors. We cannot push in. So Ukko is not going to try. Here, in between the bases, we have 1 tank and 1 planetary. And a couple of turrets. Like, again, this is looking so much more vulnerable, and Ukko is going right for it. The Banelings are rolling in. They will crash into the planetary. They will bring it down. Tank will fall as well, and Jason has to reposition. Overall, a good trade here for Ukko. He's going to try to bust into the natural base. He will get on top of that tank. And he goes straight for the main. At the same time, the Hydras, they stand strong. They have to be careful to lose too many of them. But as Ukko trades out the Hydras, we're replacing them with Corruptors. So it looks like Ukko, he does intend on going for a bigger Broodlord transition. The downside to what Ukko is working towards is that Jason, he's got a lot of Thors already, and he's got Vikings on the way. So it looks like Jason is already preemptively preparing for Broodlords. He is on, how many? 5 Thors and 3 Vikings. Again, the economy of Ukko is still strong, don't get me wrong, but the quality of army from Jason is getting better and better, and again, he got a 5th, and that's all that matters right now. He got a 5th base. He still can sustain himself. He has a good enough economy. And he's looking to eventually take a 6th. As the Sensor Tower is thrown down. Meanwhile, Ukko has taken every other hatchery. And he should be prioritizing these bases here to mine. as best he can. The Broodlords, they have arrived, and they're going to be able to get a little bit of damage. The Vikings not too far away, though, so we have to be careful. Oh, good yoink here on the Vikings, being pulled into those Hydras. And the Broodlords are just breaking on through. Good yoink once again. The final BC goes down. Sorry, there's one more. There's still one more BC as we try to yoink in those Thors. But there's still a couple more Thors behind this. There were. As one more Thor stands strong. The Vikings as well. The base goes down. And now Jason, he's going to try to counterattack, but alas, what can he really do? The Hydras, they barely protect what little Broodlords are left. We're down to one Broodlord, but the damage was done. We broke the CC. We killed how many tanks? 4 tanks, 3 Thors, 2 BCs. Good trade here for Ukko, especially considering how much of a bank he has. I would love to see additional gases. The gas geysers are maybe, or the gas bank is maybe a little bit lacking. But now Ukko can rotate around, and he's switching out of Broodlords into Hydras. He's hoping that his opponent made too many Thors. Yeah, plenty of tanks though. But this base is going to be focused on, not going to be focused down, but is going to be delayed. 10 SCVs go down. So Ukko is going to back off. Jason is able to re-establish another 5th base. But because of all of his losses, because of the fight that occurred here, Jason still has a ways to max out. He was maxed, not anymore. And this is also giving Ukko the time to rebuild himself. Now, he's stuck with a really heavy Hydra force, which isn't ideal. But once again, the southern bases are very exposed, and we can just go for a run by. We can just send the army here if we really wanted to. Don't want to waste the Banelings, but here we go. The Hydras are pushing on forward. Jason is repositioning. But again, we can totally go for this CC. Don't quite go for it though. There's what? There's only 1 or 2 tanks really covering this location and a planetary. Ukko though, he rotates around. Heading towards the now 5th base of his opponent. Nidus Worms on the way, and a Lurker Den as well. Interesting. Interesting maneuver. We have +1 ship weapons. Uh-oh. Jason, he's thinking about going into Sky Terran. Into Mass BC. He is thinking about it. We do get one yoink. A rough yoink. Abductions on some of these Vikings as well. Rough trades as the Viper account almost gets reset. Again, I do feel like Ukko has a really awkward army. I think it's really maneuverable, and again, if we want to go for run-bys, I'm all for it. But when it comes to breaking these entrenched positions, a little bit less so. So we do have Ukko just saturating his bases. He's still making more drones, by the way, still staying on a 100 worker count. 100 plus workers. Now, what is scary is that if Ukko takes a bad fight, things will very quickly escalate out of control. If he takes a bad fight. I do appreciate this though, he rotates around. Once again, comes across the lack of base. Oh, and Jason, he wants to expand here towards the north.
Ghost reporting.
He is going for it. Ghost now on the way. Jason refining his army. Again, this is not going to be easy for Ukko. It feels like he's, I mean, posturing, sure, but if Jason wants to take a fight, I think he can do well against what Ukko has. DC comes in, workers are going down. We're going for 13 lurkers. Okay. I mean, we have 2 Niduses as well. Again, I do think lurkers can do well when it comes to breaking some of these fringe bases, but now we have more tanks here in position. Ghost Academy is protected. Oh. Good EMPs. 1 Viper goes down. Again, a brutal trade for Ukko. But there it is. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the key maneuver. Double Nidus, 1 in the main, 1 in the natural. The one in the main will go down though. So yoink a couple of those Thors. Ukko losing a lot of his Hydras, but he has to get rid of them. Meanwhile, the Nidus will finish it. We take control of the natural at least. BC does come in. As we waddle towards the main base, we camp the production. Ghosts are going down. Up 2, 3 ghosts. Oh my god. 4 even. 5? Jason having a really rough trade here, pushing into these lurkers. It did cost us a lot of lurkers, but Ukko has a bank. He can afford it. Jason couldn't afford all those ghosts. He couldn't afford to lose all those ghosts, I should say. It's a good move here from Ukko. He's committing even harder here to these lurkers. I'll be honest, against this tank-heavy composition, I'm unconvinced by the lurker choice, but I'm ready to be proven wrong. I'm ready for it. I do think that a switch back into Broodlords now would have been a good choice after losing all those lurkers, just because we only have, what, 4 Thors? Only 4 Thors. A couple of Ghosts, yes, but Ghosts are good against everything. I do think a Broodlord switch from here would have been a little bit stronger. Regardless, Ukko, he's going into those Broodlords, sorry, into those lurkers once again. I believe the lurkers are, yeah, they're in the Nidus Worms.
The hive cluster is under attack.
It's gonna have to try to find a better angle of attack this time, because we do have some patrolling units. Jason now aware that he's vulnerable here in these bases, and he wants to make sure that Niduses do not get up and running. We do get the Nidus in the main. 1 here. Yeah, they're not going to get up. Both Nidus Worms are covered. Decent trade out of Ukko. More tanks coming out. Jason has now maxed. As these Niduses are not getting up and running. Jason, he's on it. He's on all of it. There's potential with this Nidus Worm, but the BCs are chasing said Overseers. Now, I do think that lurkers can take over this base, but at this point, it's already mined out. At this point, this base isn't valuable anymore. It's a little bit too late. We can kill it, sure, but again, only 1 mineral patch. As this base is going to go down, we go for some of these tanks as well. Oof. But a bit of a rough trade, and the lurkers are all going to get cleaned up. The army rotates in. At the same time, here comes Ukko, catching some tanks. This is where damage is being done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks go down, and the planetary as well. A much better trade here from Ukko. It cost him a lot of lurkers, but he traded well. And you can see that Jason, he's starving a little bit for gas. He's running out of gas geysers, running out of resources. He does take another base. From here, Ukko, he's remaxing on Ling Bane, which can fare well. I don't think we can push in here, but we're going for it. Here we go. The Ling Bane is going to be rolling on forward. It looks like we will be going for the Thors. Yeah, every single Thor is going down. Now would be a good time for Broodlords. He's going to keep on pushing. Oh, big snipes go off. And we are committing to Ling Hydra. 0 Thors left. And we're still focusing on tanks and ghosts. But alas, we're still committed to Ling Bane Hydra. And honestly, this can work really well as well. Just because there's that much less to protect these tanks, that much less to protect these ghosts. And it is a much faster army to remax. So honestly, Ukko, he can go for another push. And Jason is now broke. He's broke. He's out of money. He has no bank. Nothing. Now, this space is putting in a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but here we go. Here comes another wave. Yeah, and Ukko, Jason, he hasn't recovered. Jason, he has not remaxed. Good blinding clouds. We're going to clean up every one of these tanks. The ghosts survive, but the tanks do not, and Jason barely has a standing army. Whew, this is a stressful game. We saw quite a number of tech switches, transitions from Broodlords to Lurkers to Broodlords, to Mass Hydra at some point, into more Lings. But what's important is that Ukko has been mining from almost every base on this map, even taking some of Jason's bases. And Jason just doesn't have an economy, not anymore. It's been slow and steady, wins the race, and we won it. We won it. The bathings are rolling on in, and the planetary will fall. GG gets called, and Ukko, after 30 minutes, will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. Oh, let's go, Poppy. Let's go. It took a lot, Poppy. It took a lot. But we are now tied up 1-1. And we have seen a lot of mech on side Delta, by the way. I feel like it's the most common map where players, or where Terran players have attempted to go mech on, or succeeded in going mech on. Looks like Jason is not one to shy away from that either. As we find ourselves 1-1, now we're getting into game number 3. You know, because it's a closed qualifier, sorry, I should update this. Yeah, I did. Because it's a closed qualifier, I expected this to be a shorter broadcast than previously. You know, day 1 was 14 hours, day 2 was 13.5, and I expected this one to be like 12 hours, you know, like a solid 12 hours. And we were on track. But we're in for a long one. We're in for a back and forth. This series it could go the distance. And we've already hit that 14-hour mark. By now we were wrapping up here for day 1. But nah, we're still in the thick of it in day 3. We're reaching 15 hours. It's happening. Yeah. What's my longest cast actually? I wonder. I know when I casted the Chilean event, that was 12 hours. The difference is that here for these qualifiers, for these qualifier casts, we have had like some hour-long downtimes, and for the Chilean cast, it was 12 hours straight. It was like 12 hours straight of just pure casting, back to back to back to back. Very little downtime when we casted the Rebirth event, the Rebirth tournament. This was a couple of years ago. So I think that's still like the longest we've gone straight casting. But here, yeah, we're getting there. Again, we've had like hour-long breaks in between the regions, but damn, go the distance. Let's go. When we casted DreamHack, I think that was 12 hours, I want to say. I want to say DreamHack is usually around 12 hours whenever we cast that. Or actually longer than 12 hours. Okay. We got some competition. I think the last season of DreamHack, when we casted Asia into Europe into NA, which we did do a couple of, because we were the B stream, for EPT. That was 14 hours. We're going the distance, Buff. We're going the distance. Can we reach 16? Here we go. It's spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn. We have the American Zerg player representing Apprentice Esports. It is Ukko. Tying up the series 1-1. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Terran player. Giving us a great time with mech last game. In the tied up series, looking to take a lead, it is Jason. Oh, here we go. Vámonos, papi, vámonos. Hatch first. It's going to be a hatch gas pool here out of Ukko. We're on Oceanborn. I expect us to get into some bio play. I'm hoping for it anyway. This is not a bad map for 8-raxing, so if we did want to be hyper aggressive with bio, we could do so here from the side of Jason. Again, to wind it all back, because I know it was like an hour ago at this point, but Jason, he did look strong on Golden Aura, and Oceanborn does share some features with Golden Aura as well, in the sense that it has a short resistance by ground. And we saw Jason pull Ukko apart. Ukko was greedy, and Jason took advantage of Ukko in game 1 by just being hyper aggressive, hyper in the face of Ukko, and Ukko just could not keep up. Really, I'm building it up because I want some bio, papi. I want some bio. Let's go, let's go. All the way. Catching up in the chat. Ukko needs a couple more shorts. he needs a little. Yeah, true. 100 and what did he cap on? 110, 109. Couple more shorts. That'd be good. As for now, again, hatch gas pool opener here from Ukko. He's going to be delaying his third base. Once again, very similar to the previous game where Ukko is going to be a little bit more fixated on making more queens and being a little bit safer on 2 bases instead of rushing out a third. As he's going to be dancing with this Reaper. Meanwhile, behind this, it is going to be that factory follow-up into, I imagine, a third CC. Reaper is going to be forced back. Oh, the tumor! Tumor goes down. Big pickoff here for Jason, already getting the first tumor. I know it may not look like a lot, but again, that does slow down the creep. It does slow down the defense here quite a bit from Ukko. Does waste quite a bit of energy on that queen. Third base now being taken, and we get a full scout confirming no additional gases, no fast roach warren, no all-in is coming. And back at home, Jason is going for a third CC before starport, so a very economic opener, as opposed to the previous game, which was a BC opener. This is more economic, more standard. This is looking, everything is looking as it should to get ourselves into a solid game. And we do have a bit of an add-on sub setup as well, so it's going to be 3cc into, I imagine, Banshees. There we go, Banshee going to be on the way. Again, which is ideal to keep you safe against roaches, which is why this is such a standard opener, you know, very economic and very safe as well from the Terran. Likewise, Ukko just laying his third base here, so Ukko is going to be a little bit inefficient when it comes to his opener, but he will be catching up, and I mean, based on how hard and how heavily he drones, it's okay. He can get away with it. And a great arc here from Ukko, shutting down those Hellions, forcing them back. And just focusing on droning. And yeah, we're just getting into a pretty stable opener here overall. Nothing really to take note of too much, which, I mean, is to say how Ukko typically plays. I know that he has a couple of all-ins set up his sleeve. You know, he does flaunt them every now and then whenever he does stream, and boy, does he stream. I mean, both players do, actually, Jason and Ukko. But we can see here that I appreciate that he's, again, just playing really reactively. We have a lair on the way. We should be seeing a Bailey Nest momentarily as well. I'm a little bit surprised not to see one, so I'm curious as to the direction that Ukko is going to take us. There it is, Bailey Nest, double Evo Chamber as well for 1-1. So it is going to be Ling Bane, and now the gases are being taken. So again, nothing too fancy here out of Ukko. Likewise, when we look over to Jason, no mech. Raxes are on the way, so thankfully, you know, we're not going to get into the same game that we just casted on side Delta. Didn't expect to see that anyway. As the third is on the way, and we are just establishing ourselves on these 3 bases, and I look forward to it. I mentioned before that, you know, Bio in the hands of Jason, he looks impressive. He looks damn good. A very fast player, relies a lot on multi-pronged aggression, pulling apart the Zerg opponents and getting damage done, and I want to see more of it. It's why I was a little bit sad when we saw Site Delta, you know, when we saw a BC open. It was like, Papi, like, you have so many other strengths. We don't have to rely on this. We can play straight up. But I had a discussion with Asher earlier yesterday. Today. It's all blurring together. Earlier today, and Asher was talking about how, like, it's just so tempting as a Terran player, you know, you forget that mech is not ideal. And you want to try to make it work. You want to try to make the Zerg players smurge, Papi, and it's hard to resist as a Terran player. At least I've heard. You try it every now and then. And hopefully Jason's gotten it out of his system. For my sake. No more mech. Behind this, it is going to be Ling Bane into Hydras. Again, Ukko are going to be joining up towards 80, the 80 worker count. At the 7-minute mark, here comes the first push. It's just going to be a double drop here from Jason. Again, very reminiscent to Golden Aura, where Jason actually delays his tank production here in favor of just this double drop setup. Stim comes in, and we're going to be able to clear up a lot of this creep. Now, Ukko isn't really under too much threat. He has plenty of queens. He has Ling Bane. Hydras are on the way. It's the secondary push that's going to be that much more scary. And it's so important here that Ukko spreads creep in this location. Just because we're on Oceanborn, this base is so vulnerable, especially because it's right next to this high ground. Tank positioning here is terrifying, and Ukko has to make sure that he doesn't allow Jason to take advantage of this area and take advantage of this base as Ukko work towards a 5th. 5th is on the way again. Creep not looking too bad, but here comes the main push from Jason. He's distracting some of the Ling Bane with the double drop. The tanks are moving forward. There is thankfully a lot of creep here to slow this down. But Ukko, he needs time. Oh, we forgot Bailing Speed. Uh-oh. Bailing Speed heavily delayed here for Ukko. I think he just realized. I mean, we already have the Infestation Mid on the way. Big oversight here from Ukko. Now there's a window. There's a big window where Jason can take advantage of the lack of Bailing Speed and push on in. For now, he's taking it slow. Thankfully for Ukko, Jason is just slow and steady. Wins the race. Working his way in towards this army. Cleaning up a lot of these things. And again, he did scan. He has seen that there is no Bailing Speed, but he doesn't know how far away it is. Yeah, we are just edging on ever closer. At the same time, Ukko does send out a counterattack, but he runs into a wave of reinforcements. The Lings, they do nothing. And Jason is now on the way. Now, the good thing about this is that Jason, he hasn't been threatening these bases because of the creep, because of how good the creep spread has been. Jason has been slowed down. But here we go. He's going to collapse on this army, on this base. He gets one. He gets almost 2 queens. Jason, he's spreading himself a little bit thin. Ukko coming in for a full surround. Bailing Speed does finish up. And with the full surround, we should clean up every single one of these tanks. When the tanks go down, oh my god, the fungal as well, shutting down the medevacs. Everything falls. And Jason, he plummets in supply. Again, earlier, I do think that there was a window where he could have been a little bit more aggressive, but he took things slow. Instead, he gave Ukko the chance to max out, to rebuild, and to surround. And now Jason, he lost so much. He has 2 tanks here to defend. He has a sensor tower to just give him a bit of a heads up. Double drop to pull Ukko back. But Ukko, he's just waiting for his upgrades to kick in. Adrenal on the way. +1 range, +2 carapace. And Ukko is snowballing out of control. He can dive on this tank. Good mine shot. Oh my god, a lot of Marines do fall. But the Bailings, they crash into the E-base. They deny 2-2. That was an expensive Bailing bust. Expensive trade for Ukko, but denying 2-2 is pretty huge. It's a pretty big deal. And Ukko, he can back off and work on his own upgrades. +3 carapace, +2 melee. Building up his Ling Bane army. He's happily droned up to 80 workers at this point. Has a solid economy. So does Jason, to be fair, but the way that the Terran production works is, especially if you lose your high-tech units like your tanks, it takes a long time to rebuild. As a result, Jason is stuck at home. He has lost map control. He's contained to 4 bases. He's turtling on up. And Ukko, he is free to drone, free to double, even triple expand, take as many bases as he can, and spread his creep. And because Jason is spread thin, can he even hold on to this base? Decent mine shots for the Banelings. They roll on forward. They do connect with the bio army. They, oh my god, even crash into the tanks. They don't go for the base though, they go for the army. A solid choice here from Ukko as he shuts down the tanks one after another. GG gets called. It's just too much, and Ukko takes a lead in this series 2-1. GG. Oh. Again, the surround was really all that Ukko needed to gain momentum and snowball out of control. Jason, as we mentioned before, there was a window. There was a window that he could have tried to take advantage of, and unfortunately, being stuck in the center of the map was brutal there. Ukko, he would come in from every single angle, the full surround. And of course, credit where credit is due. We do have to praise. Let's get ready for our next lobby. We have to praise the crease spread as well from Ukko. That is something that did help slow down Jason, and Jason respected it quite a lot. Arguably too much. Arguably respected it a little bit too much here, as he did take his time. And he was also stuck in a really awkward position. I mentioned earlier about the high ground next to the hatchery and how that can be really abusable. We have seen a lot of Terrans push from that direction. Pushing through the center is a lot more bold. It is a lot more bold and a little bit more difficult to pull off just because of how much more exposed you are as well. So, yeah, and it was something that Jason wasn't quite able to pull off. And now we're getting ready for our next game, for game number 4. And our Zerg player needs one more, uno más, to qualify here for ESL Masters Winter at the Americas region. Meanwhile, Jason needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match. The pressure is on. Mech is psychological warfare. True! You're not wrong. As we are getting into this and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkioni, we have the green Zerg player representing Apprentice Esports up, leading the series 2-1. One more game is all he needs to qualify for the main event. It is Ukko. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Canadian Terran player. Ooh. Needs to win this game here and now to force the ace match. The pressure is on. He needs your support in the chat. It is Jason, the Juggernaut, if you will. Oh boy, and we have loaded into a very interesting map. We have seen quite a lot of diverse play here. The reason why I say that is because some of the features of this map is we do have a very fast gold base that you could try to take here. You could rush into the gold early on, or you could take it even as a 4th base. If you take this triangular 3rd location, you can try to take the gold as a 4th. Likewise, in general, because of the features of this map, because of the mineral walls and the rocks as well, this entire portion is completely cut off from the rest of the map. And that means that if you do decide to expand here as a 4th base, it is very defensible. It's very awkward as an aggressing player, as an attacking player, to try to maneuver your army over to this side to try to threaten this 4th base location. So we have seen a lot of Protosses and Terrans expand in this direction instead, and have a secure 4-base setup. Have a secure 4th base, and then you can work towards that gold as your 5th, as you have high ground to take advantage of. So yeah, we have seen quite a lot of interesting games on this map. As I mentioned before, you can of course rush into the gold and try to go for an all-in and try to take advantage of it very early on. But we'll see. See what direction Ukko and Jason take us in. As for now, Ukko has been opening up the same way every game. if you haven't noticed, he has been going for a delayed third into a more secure 2-base setup, into just a very heavy drone style, rushing into 80 workers by the 7-minute mark. And getting into Ling Bane Hydra from there. He hasn't really diverted too much. I did mention earlier that, again, Ukko, he's quite a big streamer. He does stream quite often, and he's got some long streams as well that he does divulge in. The tumor just barely does survive. But yeah, like on that, he has shown that he is more than willing to cheese as well, going to roach rushes and all that. But I'm sure Ukko is also very familiar with Jason, and I imagine that if he isn't going for that, there's a reason for that. Oh my, as Jason forces the third base to be taken at the linear location. Interesting choice here. Okay, so remember how I was talking about the goal base? It looks like Jason, he is trying to avoid and trying to dissuade Ukko from expanding in this location here, from taking this as a fourth or even the gold as a fourth. So he forces the third to be taken elsewhere, which means it's going to make it that much more difficult to expand in this direction instead. Yeah, interesting setup here from Jason. We rarely see eBay blocks this late, so very odd choice, but I mean, he got what he wanted. Jason got what he wanted. Behind this, 3cc into, oh, it's going to be a 3cc 2-on-1. Okay. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, Jason. So we do delay the starport. We delay the starport in favor of additional marine production. This does mean that the double drop is going to be a little bit later than normal, but we have a secure economy, and we also have a couple of Hellions to support as well. Oh my god. This is not a 3cc 2-on-1. This is a 3cc 3-1-1. This is a little bit more out of the norm. There's that starport finally thrown down, but this is a very aggressive variation. So, okay. One, this Overlord won't be able to get a scout off. What will it see? It doesn't see much. Spots the Hellions, so he knows it's not a 2-on-1, but doesn't see much else other than that. So, this means that the push is going to be delayed. It's going to be a much later push, I imagine, because the medevacs are going to be late as well, as we're going to eventually add on top and work towards that. And we will have an abundance of Marines with the extra racks. So this is going to hit a little bit later, but it's going to hit harder as a result. So interesting build here from Jason. Again, not all in because of the third TC. He should be taking his third base momentarily. As Jason is just building up his forces. Meanwhile, back at home, Ukko now going to be taking this third base as his fourth. The triangular third is his fourth. Spreading his creep out of the map. Once again, Ukko going for a drone-heavy style. Do have the lair on the way in conjunction with the bailing nest. This time, hopefully, we get a little bit faster bailing speed. Should be on the way as soon as the lair is done. And we have delayed Evo chambers. Interesting. We should have been seeing some Evo chambers by now. Because we don't, I'm curious. We're up to 4 gases, now working on even more. Do we throw down a Spire? Okay, no. I was like, at this point, we may just go into mutas, but there are those Evo chambers for those upgrades for 1-1. A little bit later than normal, but on the way nonetheless. As here comes the first double drop. Again, with a mass amount of Marines behind this, working on a 1-1 timing. So the drop is designed to clear up creep. Can we focus on some queens? We cannot. Drop is forced back. Behind this 1-1 on the way. I'm curious how many racks we're going to go up to. I'm curious if this leads into an 8 racks. If it does, like, that's a crazy move. It's wild, Pop. It's wild. As 2 more Raxes are on the way, a factory as well. So far, decent trade, but we bleed out a couple of Marines. A bit of miscontrol there out of Jason. Overextending behind this, it's just going to be Ling Bane Hydra. Again, Ukko has been going for something very similar every game so far. He does mine through these mineral patches and gains access to the bases on the right-hand side. As Jason is soon to hit the field, not just with his double drop that he has been harassing with, but now with the rest of his army. Oh, with some of his army. Gonna take control of the Zonaga. There it is. There's that secondary army moving over towards the left-hand side. This was the purpose of that earlier Vax as well, just so we can be active here with these two forces. Up. Oh, but he has to avoid the Ling Bane here, as he will be losing some of his Hellions. He's going to maneuver over towards the right-hand side. Meanwhile, at the same time, Jason pushing in towards the left. Decent minefield. And how good are the mines going to be? So far, the first one does get baited out. Good target firing on the queens and the mines. Oof. They go off on the lings, not the banelings. And this will get cleaned up. We still have 2 mines in the back line. They are spotted. Yeah, one is going to be unburrowed, but Ukko, he should be able to shut this down. At the same time, Ukko, he is in position. The jump on the right-hand side, it does nothing. Despite how aggressive Jason is trying to be, he's having a hard time gaining ground. As I mentioned before, this is something that Jason used to great effect in the open qualifiers. We have another army being sent through the center. 4th CC is on the way. Gases as well. Jason, he's looking to take a 4th base. God, but there's just so much creep to work through. And so many tumors to focus down. Meanwhile, the army on the left-hand side, it looks like he will be able to delay this hatchery. Gets on top of the Hydras. Pretty efficient trade here for Jason. Oh, as he is going to be forced back. He got 1 Hydra in the end. But because of the creep, Jason is not really feeling like pushing forward here. I mean, wise choice. There's a lot of Ling Bane waiting for him. He's going to back off. Going to be reinforcing here on the left-hand side. Cleans up those active tumors. 4th base soon to be taken. Ukko is in position to scout. He will see it ahead of time. Ooh. Jason not quite paying attention, losing a couple of units here towards the right-hand side. But the tank does arrive, and Ukko is denied his 5th. Ukko has maxed. With these 38 Lings on the way, Ukko, he's maxed out on Ling Bane, Hydra. He doesn't have a hive yet. Still working on the infestation pits, but he should be able to collapse on this army, and he will get on top of the medevac. There's no way out. The Marines go down. Oh my god. Some good connections from those mines. And here comes that drop from the right, but again, Ukko, he is here. He has plenty of Ling Bane. Forces back the army. And Jason is going to be stuck back at home. Especially after losing his marauding force on the left-hand side. He's been denying bases, yes, but... And he has contained Ukko to 4 bases, to be fair. But he has lost map control. Now Ukko is racing across the map with a mass amount of banelings. Tank's not quite ready for this. There's 1 tank, it does go down. Ukko coming in from the right-hand side as well, but alas, he can't really gain too much ground. The planetary isn't done. And SCVs are falling. The banelings having a hard time connecting, actually stuck behind the Hydras. Really good stutter stepping out of Jason, but it looks like there's just too much Zerg. The banelings, they surround the army. They bust into the 3rd base. There is nothing left. GG, good luck gets called as Jason taps out, and Ukko will take the series 3-1, qualifying for ESL Masters Winter America. GG. Congratulations. Congratulations. Al Capone. Shaking my head. But GG, well played. Congratulations to Ukko as he does take the series in the end. Advancing on into the main event. My condolences to Jason. My condolences. He did well for himself making it this far. He did well for himself making it through the open qualifiers and into the closed ones. But alas, could not overcome Ukko in the end. Did make a series out of it though. Did make a series out of it and did have a lot of fun games. We had some mech, which you know, we gotta have the good with the bad sometimes. But some entertaining games nonetheless. So GG, well played. As is that our final series done? Is it? Is it over? Looks like it isn't. One moment here. As I do report the scores, and it looks like I believe Foxer versus Maples is still ongoing. As they are in game number 4. They are in game number 4. But with that, thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. It has been a long broadcast here today. It's been a long weekend. Again, day 1 we casted for 14 hours. Day 2 was 13 and a half, and here in day 3 we're encroaching on 15. Wild. Oh god, I'm ready for bed. Am I? If you enjoyed the broadcast, if you want some more CranKy Duckling action, if you are unsatiated, if you want some more StarCraft, fun fact, we're going to be live in a couple of hours. Let me just double check. So in 7.5 hours, we're going to be live with ESL Open Cup Asia. So the ESL events do not stop, but it is an Open Cup, not a major qualifier or anything like that. And we will be live. I would love a break, but I've got a couple of hours to sleep. I was hoping, again, earlier I mentioned I was hoping that this event would end a little bit earlier so I could actually get 8 hours of sleep. That's not happening. So I'm going to try to sleep a couple of hours, and then again in 7.5 hours we're going to be live once again with ESL Open Cup Asia with Korean StarCraft. Some lovely Korean StarCraft. If you're a fan of players like Hero and Dark and Beyond and Cure and Classic, etc., they are typically featured here in this weekly tournament. So yeah, if you're interested, tune in. I know it's a rough time for the Americas region, so if you're in North America or even Latin America, it is a rough start time for it. It is very early on in the morning, but again, if you happen to be around, tune in. It's a lot of good fun, and I may even have a co-caster. No promises, but maybe. Also tomorrow we're going to be casting ESL Open Cup Americas, which is more at around this hour, so tomorrow will be the Americas Open, and likewise we get some NA players, some Koreans, and even some Europeans as well that do stay up deep into the night to compete in the Americas Open. So plenty of StarCraft ahead of us. Again, if you're tuning in for the first time, if you may be unfamiliar with the channel, we are live every day. Every day we have StarCraft available for you. We've been casting StarCraft non-stop since 2020. End of 2019, actually, technically. We've been casting events, and yeah, we've been putting in the work. We've been on that grind set, doing what we can while we can, and yeah, it's been a lot of good fun. It's been a great time, and yeah, we've made a lot of good memories and good friends on the way, and we're going to continue to do so for as long as we can. So again, if you're interested, !socials in the chat. We're going to be live. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel that we upload on a daily basis, and we have a Discord server as well. !socials in the chat. Again, if you do want to follow us, otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for your support. Again, 7 hours time, more StarCraft is available. As long as I wake, I should be able to wake up. Yeah, we'll be fine, Papi. We'll be fine. Should be able to wake up in time, Papi. Oh. I thought we rename this map Alcoholic. Let's go. But yeah, you can follow us then. Outside of that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you guys next time. Going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. I believe Dave Tesla is casting Foxer versus Maples, so we will be raiding Dave. Is there anyone else casting that? I think Roddy is covering that series as well. But Foxer is Dave's boy. Foxer, he is his son. So we will be giving some love over to Dave Testa, and yeah, you can cheer him on from there. So give Dave some love and support. Again, he does stream throughout the week. Likewise, another community caster. And yeah, with that, we're done for today. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Hope you guys enjoyed the broadcasts. Again, we covered every single region. If you missed out on anything, check out the VODs, because there's a lot of good games, a lot of amazing games were had. a lot of amazing StarCraft. With that, thanks for watching, thanks for the support. See you guys in a couple of hours. Until then, bye. Enjoy the intro. Enjoy the video. It's good.